Ethics is the search for action guiding principles and values for human life and conduct. An ethical dilemma involves a conflict between two or more values that requires us to make a decision before we act. An ethical dilemma, for example, would be between the argument between the two types of sexual education programs. These include abstinence-only programs and comprehensive sex education programs. Abstinence strictly teaches students to abstain from sex until marriage. Comprehensive sex education educates students about STDs, safe sex practices, use of condoms and contraceptives, while teaching about abstinence. This is a problem because of the high teen pregnancy and teen birth rates in the United States. The United States has the highest teen pregnancy and birth rates among the developed countries. These arguments, or this ethical dilemma, could be supported by two ethical theories, Kant's ethical theory and utilitarianism theory. Those in favor of the abstinence-only sex education programs, they think that teaching to abstain from sex will produce abstinence and therefore reduce the high teen pregnancy and teen birth rate. And they also argue that comprehensive sex education sends a mixed message and promotes sex. But comprehensive sex education promotes abstinence while not ignoring that teens do have sex, so they educate them how to have safe sex and about efforts at producing or preventing unwanted pregnancies. Studies also show that the majority of comprehensive sex education reduces risks in 3 areas. These 3 areas include delaying age of the first time of having sex, reducing the number of sexual partners, and increasing condom usage. Kant's theory focuses first on motive and second on the act. It is not a consequentialist theory. Kant believed that happiness was not the highest good. He thought that pursuing good was the highest good. So he also noted the moral imperative, which means that you ought to do something no matter what. So if we were to apply that to an instance of lying, he would believe that lying was wrong no matter what. So if you were to lie to save a life, then he believed that you were still wrong because lying was wrong no matter what. Even if you were saving a life, it was still wrong. That there are criticisms of his theory because it is said that it goes against your common sense judgment, because obviously we would think that lying to save a life would outweigh the wrong of lying. But he thought that if you let it slide once, then it could be turned into something that's normal. So to apply Kant's theory, I believe that it could be argued to support abstinence-only education. If we use the moral imperative from Kant's point of view, then it would be that sex is wrong before marriage no matter what. So to tell them these different practices would be wrong because it's wrong no matter what, so there should be no exceptions. Also, another angle is that happiness is not the highest good, therefore abstaining from sex would be the pursuit of the goodwill, what he thought was the highest good. Utilitarianism theory could be applied to comprehensive sex education. Its focus is on the maximum good of all people, and it ought to produce the most happiness and reduce pain and suffering and unhappiness. John Stuart Mill said that if interests conflicted, then the choice made should work for the greatest number of people. He also noted that for social programs, they should be judged by their usefulness, and we would know their usefulness by experience. So to apply the utilitarianism theory to this argument, it could support comprehensive sex education programs. How it would do this is that it works for the most number of people because of our studies that show that it does reduce these risks in those three areas. Also by Mill's note that we should judge based off of usefulness. The comprehensive sex education is more useful and effective than the abstinence-only sex education. And lastly, if we educated about contraceptives, safe sex practices, and STDs, and avoided unwanted and unintended pregnancies, then we would reduce the pain and suffering and unhappiness. So in conclusion, the argument of abstinence-only sex education and comprehensive sex education, the ethical dilemma that Kant's theory could be applied to abstinence-only education, and utilitarianism could be argued for comprehensive sex education.